Welcome back to M&A TV, and we have with us this afternoon Gary Weiss, who's a Managing Director in the Mergers and Acquisitions Department at JPMorgan Chase. Thank you for joining us. It's very helpful to have you on board because we're given to understand this sort of avalanche of shareholder activism is about to cross the Atlantic and break over these shores. In your earlier panel comment, you raised what I thought was a very fair point. That was that even a shareholder with 1% has skin in the game, as you said, and that the views of the activists with the 1% may reflect the broader views of the wider shareholder constituency. So does that suggest, therefore, that the shareholder activism thing is good? Is it not a good thing to have shareholder activism protecting the rights of, or protecting the interests of broader shareholders?
Yeah, I think like most things in life, it tends to cut both ways. But if you look at shareholder activism as a natural outgrowth of shareholder democracy, that fundamentally shareholders should, by virtue of corporate law, have a voice in how their companies are run. They should have a say in what happens. Then activism is a natural outgrowth of that enfranchisement. Used correctly, it keeps management teams and boards on the straight and narrow, and should, used properly, aid in the governance of the corporation. Obviously, like all things, it can be subject to speculative abuse, and I think you have to be mindful of those situations where it could potentially get out of hand. But as I think I said on the panel, it's very hard to functionally separate those issues. You'd be throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and you would be, by trying to really curtail shareholder activism in the totality, you would be basically, you would basically treading upon the enfranchisement of shareholders going forward, which I don't think is in anybody's long-term interest.
Okay, fair enough, all good. So when is shareholder activism bad?
I think it's bad when it's basically a barrage of disproportionate requests that, where the activists are fundamentally flouting the rules in order to bombard management and otherwise distract them in the hopes of some sort of short-term payoff. I think that's unusual in today's day and age that those sorts of campaigns gain traction. I think the broad, long community is not supportive of that, and I think that management teams are more, generally speaking, have ways of parrying that. But that would be at the extreme when it would be actually not constructive. It would be destructive to the interests of the corporation.
Yes, just picking up on the long funds and pension funds type of long-term shareholders. The point made earlier was that they may be unwilling to ask the difficult questions. Why?
I think that the long funds, they're broadly invested across the market. If you look at the activist funds, in order to gain what they would consider to be real alpha, real outperformance, are managing a smaller portfolio of concentrated positions where they're trying to make something happen. Whereas the long funds, they're in a proliferation of companies, very, very broadly diversified. And so it is very hard for them in the first instance to mobilize the analytic resources, investment by investment, to catalyze something. Secondly, I think that they are very mindful of their, of the totality of their investments in a particular market, and don't want to be seen to be disruptive or destructive in any way. And so for all these reasons, I think that they traditionally have found it difficult to mount what could otherwise be hostile activist campaigns. Now, some of them have broken ranks in that and have begun to do that and exercise their franchise more directly. But there are others who I think feel more comfortable investing in activist funds, otherwise supporting activists, and and in many respects, I guess, sharing ideas and perspectives with them in the hope that the activists will go ahead and and promote the agenda that the broader shareholders might wish to see the company undertake.
Okay, so should British boardrooms be fearful of the arrival of more activist activities?
Not necessarily. I think that to the extent that the activists come in and in the first instance have invested in the company, which I think most companies will say is a good thing, that shareholders are coming in and investing in their company, and to the extent that they're coming in with a thoughtful position on how the business might be improved, the best thing to do in that circumstance, someone who's come in and made an investment, taken the time to put forth a thoughtful position on the future of the company, would be to listen. And in that respect, the corporation shouldn't, in and of themselves, be frightened if the activist pitches up in the register.
Okay, that sounds like good advice. Thank you very much, Gary, for joining us this afternoon.
Pleasure, thank you.